Hi, I'm Don. Today, our video is about how to panel line a Gundam. So why does your panel lining suck? When you are new to the hobby, panel lining can look really simple but can be really frustrating.
That's good.
I hope you'll find this video informative. Hi, I'm Don. Welcome to my studio. This channel is supported by all these awesome brands. Have you tried everything? You tried pens and Gundam markers and your panel lining is still bad. You've tried India ink, Illustrator's inks, acrylic inks, and game inks, and your panel lining is still bad. You've tried washes, a combination or a mixture of paints and acrylic washes, and your panel lining is still bad. Then you try oil paints and turpentine to clean the oil paints, but your panel lining is still bad. Finally, you found some very rare enamel paints and you also bought the panel liners, but your panel lining is still bad. So why is your panel lining still bad? One possible reason is that you don't let the paints dry before you clean up. This also applies with markers, and this is a common mistake for people new to the hobby. You don't let the paints dry before you clean it up. So it's important to let the paints dry. Let it dry for a minute and then you clean it up. Second reason is that the panel lines themselves are too shallow or non-existent. For edges like this one, not actual panel lines, no matter what you do, no matter what paint you use or even markers, it's kinda difficult to produce really nice panel lining. So for edges, not panel lines, even if you let them dry, once you clean them up, it's going to be totally erased from the model. Also, it's important to note that old models have the tendency to have very shallow panel lines. So how do you produce really good panel lining? For painted models, a nice coat of gloss or satin varnish is a must. However, if you overdo the varnish and you applied it very thickly, again you'll have a problem with doing panel lining. Newer models like this Sai Gundam is so easy to panel line. Oils and enamels are very easy to use and both of them are basically oil-based. The panel line accent is extra good because it's pre-thinned and it's ready to use. Same with markers and acrylics, you just let it dry for a minute and then you clean it up with the proper solvent. Gundam markers, the panel line accent, oils, and enamels easily clean up with turpentine and gum salt. Panel lining of newer models with really good panel lines with acrylics is the same. Inks or a mixture of washes and actual paint will give you nice results. Key here is to thin enough with water and also add a drop of dishwashing soap. The soap will add more surface tension and thus will help with the capillary action. Capillary action is when you put the paint, whatever paint it is, and it runs along the panel line. Same with the oil-based paints, you let this dry for a minute or even a few seconds and then you clean it up with thinner or water. For unpainted kits, this is no problem. This is so easy to clean. But for painted models, You should really have a nice gloss varnish. Let it dry or let it cure for 24 hours before you do panel lining. Rescribe the shallow panel lines, especially of older kits. It does not matter what method you use. You may use markers, you may use oils, enamels, panel liner, acrylics, but if you don't rescribe, especially the older kits, it will be difficult to do panel lining. If you don't have scribers yet, you may use the backside of your art knife. Apply very little pressure because too much pressure will result to slippage. Just let the panel line guide you through the scribing. I highly recommend you get some chisels though, especially SAB panel liners or even BMC. You should get the 0.15, 0.1, and 0.2, and those will be all the sizes you need to rescribe the common sized panel lines. It all depends upon your preference, but you could make this not very deep and just scribe around 3 light strokes just to make the panel lines or existing panel lines deeper. Now, if you want to add panel lining to edges like this one in the shield, you have to rescribe the design and just follow the edges. Oh, I've said this in one of my recent videos that good panel liners like SAB and BMC won't produce lips, those raised edges around the panel lines or along the panel lines, and you will have clean results with better tools like SAB and BMC. Once you've scribed the existing panel lines and the edges of the model, it is now easy to do panel lining. You could use whatever medium you want, oils, enamels, inks, panel liner, or acrylics. The results will all be the same. So it's a matter of paint preference at this point. Now I have here an old video, but this video did not have a voiceover, so I decided to add it here. I failed to mention it in this particular video, but this unpainted RG armor piece was rescribed before I did the panel lining. I used Mecha Color Black, pure black here, mixed 1:1 with Mecha Black Wash. Again, it doesn't matter what medium or paint you use as long as you rescribe the existing panel line. Again, key here is to let the paints dry for a minute or two or a few seconds depending on your weather, and then you clean it up. You may clean with thinner, but water will work, especially on bare plastic. For painted models, it is very important to give it a coat of gloss or satin varnish and let the varnish cure for 24 hours before panel lining. For painted models, it is also important to use the weaker, less durable model color washes and model color paints. As usual for acrylics, you thin with water and then you add a drop of dishwashing soap to add like surface tension to make it more runny, and then you let it dry for a bit and then you clean it up after. It is safe to use a thinner to clean up the paint, especially if you let the varnish cure for 24 hours. The glossier model, the shinier it is, the easier it is to clean. However, it is important to note that the thicker varnish, you should make sure that the panel lining should be deep enough to accommodate for a thicker varnish. As much as I hate to say this because it's not beginner friendly, the real trick to really good panel lining is to rescribe the panel lines. Now for our top tip. For oils and enamels and panel liner accent color, you could clean it up with turpentine or Gamsol. Gamsol is odorless mineral spirit, and since it's odorless, it's better than lighter fluid and less harmful than turpentine. For acrylics, if you have a glossy painted model or you're just panel lining over plastic, water will work and you don't really need the thinner to clean it up. That's it, Pansit. I hope you found this video helpful and all of this method work. It's just a matter of following the tips in this video. That's it, we're done. I hope you liked the video. Do like, comment, subscribe, and consider joining the channel so that you'll be part of our Discord community. Saludos!